I am Supreme, and today's Astro Oracle investigation will be on Dewan Sims. This is a very old, very cold case, but it is just as valuable today as it was the day it happened, and is still unsolved. So Dewan Sims was a 4-year-old who went missing. It's a boy who went missing from the Wonderland Mall in Livonia, Michigan on December 11th, 1994. Now, his mother, Dewana Wiggins, who then last name was Harris, but she has recently been remarried and a Wiggins, claimed he vanished while they were shopping. However, mall surveillance footage showed Wiggins entering the mall alone.
As they retraced Dewana Harris's steps that December day, they found themselves with more questions than answers.
The entrance that she decided that she was telling us that she walked into, we never had her walking into that entrance with him ever on that video, which led us to believe that something different had happened than what she was reporting to us.
Recent developments in 2019 is a man came forward claiming to be Dewan, but DNA testing confirmed he was not a match. I saw that video of him coming forward. His name is like Mike. His name is Mike something. And he's grown. And he came forward claiming that he was the missing 4-year-old from 1994. Why would a grown man come forward claiming that he is a 4-year-old missing child that went viral back in 1994? I'm going to tell you why. Because he grew up under the impression, because of his family telling him that his mother is not his biological mother. This guy, Mike, that came forward has nothing to do with the missing Dewan Sims boy back in 1994 who was 4, missing from Wonderland Mall. But however, because some random stranger in the world who goes through what a lot of people go through in their families, him being told that, this is not your biological mother. She wasn't even pregnant at the time that you were supposed to have been conceived. Could you imagine growing up with your family telling you this? Now, I'm going to tell you something. We all grew up, and I don't know about you, but we grew up, we had a fun childhood growing up, okay? And I'm not saying this to set myself apart like I'm just better than all these people that didn't. Because I'm far from that. But we had a good childhood because we used to joke around. Like siblings, there's 4 of us. We used to joke around with each other saying, you adopted, we found you on the front porch, you was delivered, all siblings joke around. At least I think all siblings joke around with each other like that. I used to tell my little sister that we found her on aisle 4 at Woolworth. And I was the one that told mommy we should bring her home. I was dead serious. Boy, I used to annoy the hell out of my little sister. That's what all big brothers do. But I love my little sister with all my heart. And she loves me. We had a good childhood. You know what I'm saying? And it's all fun and games. I was told the same thing by my older siblings. And even worse things. That I was adopted. And I was found on the front porch. And, it's all... So it's all fun and games. However, this guy that came forward claiming that he was the missing child, Dewan Sims, from 4-year-old back in 1994 from Wonderland Mall, it wasn't fun and games for him, because when his family was telling him these things, he actually took it serious. So not everybody's with the fun and games and playing. Not everybody looks at one thing as playing and another thing as being serious. What you may look at as playing, somebody else may take serious. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's good to really not play like that. And I'm older. Now that I'm older, I realize that. But when we were younger, we was playing. Like, we said treacherous things to each other. So, but it was all fun and games. We knew it wasn't true. At least we presented ourselves as if, Oh yeah, y'all playing, but deep down inside, we probably was biting our nails like, damn, I hope I'm not adopted. You know, but some people are like that, and I think Mike was one of them because he really got involved with this case. He's really looking to see if this is true, and he went that far to see, if this is true. Like, I just might be DeJuan Sims that's missing. And it's funny how, it's not funny, but it's wild how, when you tell somebody something, whether it's your sibling, your cousin, or your family member, sometimes they take things like that to heart. That can ruin a person psychologically. So I do want to encourage people out here today that be careful how you play with your family members, because especially today, in this day and age. Today is January 23rd, 2026. This, everybody's on edge. And what you might think is playing, somebody takes it to heart. Because there are some people who are really having second thoughts. You have people, and this is beside the point, this is no racial, nothing racial, but even as a black individual, you have a lot of black individuals that think twice about being black in their existence. You really have people in the black community that are not sure whether they're supposed to be here or whether they matter or not. And that's not funny. It's really not. So a lot of times we laugh and we play, but sometimes we laugh. Sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying. And I understand that today, being grown, because it's really not funny. A lot of us, not just black, but a lot of us today in 2026, we just want to let loose and cry it all out. There's a lot we want to really cry about, but we got to be strong, and we have to keep our head up, because a lot of us have children. A lot of us have grandchildren, and we have daily routine jobs we got to keep up with. We have a specific energy that we have to keep up with every day, where we can't afford to break down because we lose energy. I get it, but we all sometimes just need that shoulder to cry on. We got to let it out. Sometimes we just got to cry about things that we know will never be the same. Even if you can't go back and change nothing from the past. But sometimes you just need somebody that you can cry it out to, and I hope, to all of you watching this, I hope that you find that person in your life. And I do want you to know that I do understand these things. Okay? So don't think when I'm up here laughing and giggling that, I'm insensitive. I am extremely sensitive. I would not be an oracle if I wasn't sensitive. It's just, I'm grateful that I actually found an outlet to explain why I'm so sensitive. And this oracle work, these spiritual arts and crafts and sciences that I'm into, is showing me every reason why I was always as sensitive as I am. Because I was sensitive when my siblings was telling me these things, but I mean, I knew they weren't. I am my mother's child and my father's child. Like, they spit me out. I am a splitting image of both my mother and my father. Like, I promise you, I have my father's features and my mother's complexion. So, my mother's lighter than me though. But I'm a splitting image of my mother and my father. I look just like the both of them. We all have been spit out by our parents. My little sister has a different father who was there to raise us, and we love him like he was our birth father. And we still love our birth father. Both of my fathers know that I love them with all my heart. So we didn't grow up with, oh, you ain't my daddy, you ain't, we wasn't like that. I think we were the last of the generation of people who, were really understanding. We knew what society was going through back then, especially now we knew what it was going through back then. And, all of this stuff with the systematic, government issues and the things that they did to tear apart families and the black community. And, we've been through all of that, you know. And at the end of the day, you heal from it. You love who's there for you. You even love and learn to understand those who try to be there. And as you get older, you understand that life is not easy. Life is not easy for nobody. So, you got to give people grace. Even your parents and those that wanted to be there but wasn't, or whatever they went through, whatever it is that caused you to grow up to feel like you have resentment towards your family members, I encourage you to have forgiveness and give them grace, because it's not easy to live life. It's not easy being human. It's not easy staying in your right mind, living in the type of world that we live in. It's not easily always feeling good about yourself. It's not easy always trying to have a peaceful life. It's not easy. So I get it because I'm human. So I just want to encourage y'all, and I want you to know that you have somebody who understands. And I'm grateful that all of y'all are here on my channel. My channel is growing, and I appreciate that. I'm watching this thing grow like a flower in the garden, like a huge, beautiful, powerful flower in a garden. And I keep watering it. When the more you water something, it's gonna grow. you know, and I have all of y'all, subscribers and viewers, to thank for believing in me and believing in my work, and I'm going to get down to work. Let's get back to DeJuan Sims. So, so this guy, Mike, came forward claiming that he was DeJuan Sims. He wasn't. So, case closed for that. He got answers that he needed, and he goes about his business in his way to deal with the rest of his family and why they even went through that in the first place. He got his answers. However, DeJuan Sims' case is still unsolved. DeJuan's mother died of a heart attack in December 2020. That was 5 years ago. Without ever being charged or providing further information. Now, here's the story that I have looking at all of the podcasts and videos and media coverage, which was very little on this case. Okay? Now, the story goes that the day before DeJuan went missing, was reported missing by his mother, DeJuana Sims, and her boyfriend, Victor Jackson, was living together with DeJuan. DeJuan was living with them. They were going out, a night out, a date night out, whatever. So that day, DeJuana went to get her hair done, okay? And she took DeJuan to a family friend's house to be babysat until the next day. So, of course, that night, DeJuan and her boyfriend, Victor Jackson, they went out, had their little thing, whatever, night out, date night out, enjoyed themselves. The following day, around 10 a.m., DeJuana claimed she went to go pick up DeJuan from the babysitter, which was the family friend. After that, she went to the laundromat to wash clothes. She had DeJuan with her. And then they went to DeJuan's mother's house. DeJuana is the mother. DeJuan is the son. So, and this is weird because one of my sister's name is DeJuan. This case is so wild. It's like, I'm talking about really wild. I feel like it's meant for me to do this case because it's such a synchronicity. I have nothing to do with this case. But let me tell you, his name is DeJuan. My sister's name is DeJuan. My younger sister, who I told you about, me and her joke around a lot, her father was the one that pretty much raised us in the household. His name is Victor. And him and my mother are married. And my mother's maiden name is Jackson. It's just weird. So, I feel like it was synchronized for me to find this case and do it. Then those are just my signs to let me know that DeJuan Sims' case is going to be solved through me. Okay? And all of these names involved are synchronicities. So, you can't make stuff like that up. So, anyway, and there is a person involved in this case. I don't know if it's DeJuan's mother or somebody that's involved in this case. Name is Gail. And that's my mother's name. It's just weird, and then I'm sitting here talking about my family and siblings and how we joke around. It's just wild and weird. But those are just my signs and confirmation that it's meant for me to do this case. Okay? So I had to mention that because that's very important. That's a very important synchronicity that like no one can make up. Okay? So, and I'm quite sure I know my mother's watching, my parents are watching, because they are subscribers. And like I always tell people, you the best when your parents are a fan of your work. Okay? So, um, Dewana stopped at her mother's house when she left the laundromat. Now, Dewana's mother house was 30 minutes away from the laundromat, and apparently she had Dewan with her. Now, get this. None of these stops were confirmed. Okay? None of these stops were confirmed. This is just what Dewana's story was. So we have to stick to that story until something else comes out. Okay? Now, so she goes home, okay? And she realizes that her boyfriend, she goes home to take the clothes home or whatever. She realizes her boyfriend, Victor Jackson was still asleep. Whether, they don't know how long they stayed out that night or whatever, but he was still asleep. Okay? So she didn't leave her son, Dewan, home by himself because her boyfriend was still asleep. So she took Dewan out to run errands with her at the mall, Wonderland Mall. And that is where she claims she lost Dewan at. However, her story was they came in the mall and Dewan wanted to stop at the toy store because his favorite characters, Power Rangers, he wanted to stop to look at the Power Rangers. But his mother told him no. So they kept walking. She had to get some stuff out of Target and went to other stores. And then she realized Dewan was no longer with her. So that's when she looked around for him on her own, but then she went to mall security around 3. This is her story. And she told them that her son Dewan was missing. And that's when they began the search. Now, when the footage came out, it was seen on footage that Dewana did not come to that mall until 3 p.m. She claims she's been at the mall since 12 something. And she lost her son around 1 something, and she was looking for him until about 3 something when she checked in with security. The only true part of that story that can be confirmed through footage is when she checked in at security at 3 p.m. However, it was confirmed by that footage that 3 p.m. is when Dewana actually got to that mall. And soon as she got to the mall, she went straight to security. They never seen her anywhere on no footages before then. So what are you talking about? You've been at the mall since 12 o'clock and your son Dewan wanted to look in the toy store and you said no and you went to Target and doing all this extra shit. When the only footage that they have of you is from the time you pulled up and went into that mall. If they had that footage at 3 p.m., they have the same footage at 12. You were seen nowhere until 3 p.m. And that's when she came to the mall and Dewan wasn't with her on any footage from the time she got to that mall until the time she went straight to security and told him her son was missing. That's how they feel like he wasn't even at that mall with her. So what happened to Dewan Sims? Now, check this out. I'm gonna change this reading up. I'm gonna pull cards first. I'm gonna pull 5 cards, okay? And then we're gonna pull the charts because this Astro Oracle is my OG. It tells no lies, all right? This is gonna get us down to the bottom of it. But I'm gonna pull these cards first because I am a high-ranking Astro Oracle psychic, okay? And every now and then, if not all times, I have to make sure I prove to you raw and uncut, okay? So I have to prove it. It's my responsibility to prove things to you in a way that no one can make up. Okay? So I'm going to start pulling cards first. Okay? And then I'm going to pull charts because the cards are go along with the charts. That's why it is Astro Oracle Psychic Investigations. Okay? So, tuning into the energy signature of DeJuan Sims, who was born October 29th, 1990. I have his planetary alignment in front of me of the day he was born and the planetary alignment of the day he went missing, December 11th, 1994, at only 4 years old. Now, check this out. DeJuana's mother, remember, DeJuana is the mother and DeJuan is the son. Now, DeJuana's mother, who is DeJuan's grandmother, she took out a life insurance policy on DeJuan, the grandson. Check this out. Only a week or two before he went missing, she told law enforcement she don't remember when she took out the life insurance policy on him. I mean, the kid was only 4 years old. So, I mean, your brain should be able to think within the 4-year lifespan. You know, was it last month? Was it last year? Was it a couple of years ago? I mean, because you acting like you got to think 10, 20 years back.
The boy's grandmother confirms she went to Detroit Fire Headquarters this afternoon to get paperwork related to the life insurance policy because of police questions about it.
That's the problem. I can't remember. It was either 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. But they did not deduct
Was it last week?
No, it wasn't last week. It was not last week. It was like either the 1st of December or end of November. It was after Thanksgiving, but it was not last week.
Did the police ask you to go get that, or did you just decide to
No, I
take it?
volunteered to go get it because it kept coming up. And I'm the one that took the policy out. My daughter did not even know about the policy until they started asking questions. And she said, "Mama, do you have a policy? Because you had mentioned something about getting policies." And I said, "Yes, I did take the policy on me and DeJuan."
So did they ask you about it? The police, did they ask you about the policy?
No, I don't know who. See, it kept coming up, so I volunteered the information to them to let them know that I'm the one that took the policy out.
But you've discussed it with them?
Yes, I have.
Kimberly Harris says the police haven't asked her to take a lie detector test about the case. She says she's willing to do so if they want her to. In Northwest Detroit.
I feel like she's suspect too, because I could tell through her voice that she's suspect. Taking out a life insurance policy on your grandson a week or two. Then she told law enforcement, she said, I believe it was like a week or two ago. So law enforcement was like, well, was it last week? She said, no, I know it wasn't last week. You know, or was it the week before? She's like, you know, it had to have been the week before. I don't understand why your brain, it has to take that long to figure out whether it was yesterday or the day before. That's all I'm saying. Whether it was a week or two ago, I mean, which you don't know whether it was 1 or 2, 3 or 4. You got to think that hard. So, you know, she's suspect to me. And taking out a life insurance policy on your grandson without his mother's awareness and approval, right? DeJuana did not know her mother took a life insurance policy out on her grandson. What did the grandmother all of a sudden come to the realization of immediately prior to a situation that will benefit the decision that she made? That part. That's why she's suspect. She took out a cash policy. 25,000, I think it was. 25, 30,000, something like that. Oh, it's going to come out. It's going to come out. DeJuan Sims. Now, DeJuana, the mother, she was never charged. Now, get this. She failed both lie detector tests.
The mother of DeJuan Sims, DeJuana Harris, did take a lie detector test, and she flunked it.
There would be 2 failed polygraph tests, reported sightings, and
The fuck is wrong with law enforcement? I don't understand. I don't understand what type of people are on these law enforcement teams. Like, how many signs do you need to show you that you have the suspect? That's wild. She failed both lie detector tests and was able to get away with telling them that it's because she's nervous and she's scared because of everything that's happening with her son. You know, this is making her jittery and shaky, and Law enforcement is supposed to take that into consideration. Not that it doesn't matter, but I mean, come on now. Where do you draw the line? A lie detector should draw the line. It should be able to detect past all of that. Because, of course, people are going to be nervous. I just don't, I don't get it. Oh, but we about to get it today. So, pull 5 cards, and then I'm going to pull the charts. What happened to DeJuan Sims, December 11th, 1994? Whether it happened that day or whether it happened prior to that day, and it just so happened December 11th was the day that she decided to expose the fact that something done happened to her child is missing. What happened? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Now we have a Capricorn thing. We have a 6th house place, which came out in reverse. To you, it looks upright, but I read it the way it comes out to me because I'm the one delivering the message. We have a 6th house person in reverse. 6th house is the house of work, employment. We have an 8th house person. The 8th house is the house of death. Okay? We have an 8th house person. And then we have a Libra thing, which is the relationship. So let's find out how this plays out in the charts that I'm going to pull. DeJuan Sims was born October 29th, 1990. On that day, the sun was in Scorpio and the moon was in Pisces. And y'all know how I formulate time. Time is the sun divided by moon cycles. When you put a Pisces moon in Scorpio's house, which is the 8th house, Leo is rising. This is DeJuan Sims' birth chart. And like I always tell you, I can't look in the birth chart to determine whether a person is missing or dead. But I can look in the birth chart to see whether if they are missing, where it most likely started, and if they are dead, where it most likely started. We do know DeJuan Sims, for a fact, is missing. Hold on, y'all. Let me, because I keep showing up. I'm sorry. I keep showing up as high yellow. I got to get this lighting together. I'd be so anxious to hurry up and get on camera that I got to learn how to take my time and really get prepared. I'm so raw and uncut. I'd be ready. So, all right. Now, we do know for a fact that DeJuan Sims is missing. And y'all know I always look in the 12th house to follow what's missing and who's responsible, to who, what, where, when, and why. That's the starting point. So why in DeJuan Sims' starting point of the missing, I see the mother. Y'all know Cancer is the mother, the home and the family, right? Why is the mother showing up as the starting point of DeJuan's disappearance? Because she got something to do with it. I don't even have to pull the death chart to see that. She has something to do with it. The story, her story alone doesn't add up. And it was confirmed by surveillance footage, right? So, now we don't know if he's dead. But if he is, it most likely started right here in the 8th house of death where Pisces began that path. Pisces is the energy of the missing and the hidden. Pisces rules the 12th house where the mother is. Do you see Pisces right there in red? Because the red represents whose house it is and the black represents who's there. The hidden house. In the house of the hidden, we see the mother. That's the beginning point of death. Now let's pull the death chart. I'm sorry, the disappearance chart. The missing chart. We don't know if he's dead. Let's pull the disappearance chart. He disappeared, or he was reported missing December 11th, 1994. On that day, the sun was in Sagittarius and the moon was in Aries. And when you put an Aries moon in Sagittarius' house, which is the 9th house, the same exact chart is rising. This chart is the answer. All the answers of what happened to DeJuan Sims, who did it, where DeJuan Sims at is, and why is all in this chart right here. This is DeJuan Sims' birth chart and disappearance chart. So let's look in this chart. Leo comes first. This is a fifth house chart because Leo is the fifth sign of the zodiac. Leo is the energy of children, celebrations, creativity, recreational activity. Why is the child coming first with the mother hiding him? Right? Now, let's follow the sun because the sun rules Leo. The sun that day was in Sagittarius. And look where Sagittarius is, right there in Leo's house, the fifth house. You see Leo right there? Everything in red represents whose house it is. Everything in black represents who's there. Sagittarius, which is where the moon was, is in Leo's house. This is a fifth house chart. Sagittarius is the energy of long distance travels, foreign affairs. Okay? Sagittarius is also the energy of grandparents. Okay? Now, let's follow Jupiter because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Jupiter that day was in Sagittarius. Now, DeJuan's Jupiter was in Leo. And it just so happens that Leo comes first. So why am I seeing the child's grandparent? Now, let's look in the ninth house because that's Sagittarius' house. And that's also the house of grandparents, long distance travels, higher knowledge, wisdom, understanding, okay? Churches, colleges, universities, okay? Now, in the ninth house, I see Aries. That's where the moon was that day, in the house of the grandparent. The child's grandparent at that, because Aries rules the first house. You see Aries right there? Aries house, you see the child. The moon was in Aries that day, in the child's grandparents' house. Why did Dawana go to her mother's house that day? If they was able to confirm the reason why Dawana went to her mother's house that day, they would have all the answers that they need. Let's follow Mars because Mars is ruling Aries. However, Mars that day was in Leo, the grandson. Mars is the assassin. Mars is the assassin. Mars from the grandparents' house attacks the child. Who? Where was DeJuan's Mars? In Gemini, which is the neighbor. And the neighbor is right here in the 11th house of the community, the group. Gemini is also the sibling. Gemini is also the local environment and local travels. Where is Aquarius at, being that Gemini showed up in Aquarius's house? Aquarius is over here in the 7th house of relationships, spouses, friends. Why am I seeing a neighbor, the grandmother, and a friend? That family fucking friend. Now, let's get to these cards, right? Let's get to these cards. A Capricorn thing came out. This Capricorn thing, where's Capricorn at in this chart? In the 6th house. That's Virgo's house. That is the house of work, service, employees. And when Capricorn there, this is a manager. This is a supervisor. This is a boss. Okay? This is somebody that works in a position of authority and has status in the environment. And I do know the grandparent She worked for the fire department. That's a status, but I'm not saying that the grandparent did it. But I mean, a lot of dots lead to the grandparent already. So right now, that's the authority figure in DeJuan's life that I'm focused on right now, along with the mother. Now, not only this Capricorn thing came out in the sixth house, look what also came out. Two other sixth house cards, a person and a place. So this Capricorn thing in the sixth house, the sixth house was a person involved in the sixth house, which is somebody that works with this person right here. This is the sixth house is somebody from a place of employment. Okay? The sixth house is the house of health, wellness, and employment. Okay? There's a person from this house. There's also a place, which is somebody's place of work. Now, we do know that Dewana went to the laundromat. The laundromat is a sixth house place as well, because it involves the cleaning of clothes. And the sixth house represents everything that needs to be taken care of. Food, shelter, clothing, and the body. The necessary needs. Okay? Now, this Capricorn would be a boss, a manager, either from that laundromat or somebody from somebody's place of employment that's in Dewana's energy. Right? Let's follow Capricorn and the sixth house, which is Virgo's house. Saturn rules Capricorn. Where was Saturn at that day? It was in Pisces. You can't make this up. And look where Pisces is, in the house of death. The beginning of the death and the end point is Pisces, the hidden. Now, an eighth house person came out. You cannot make this up. You can't make this up. An eighth house person came out. Who's this eighth house person? So this is the house of death. So this is the person that's responsible for the death and disappearance of Dewan Sims. So, in order to elaborate on this person, let's go to Pisces' house and also see where Scorpio is. Because this is Pisces in Scorpio's house. So, first of all, what's going on in Pisces' house? Cancer, the mother. That's who the fuck this person is. The mother. Where? Let's go look at where Scorpio is. In the fourth house of home and family. That's the mother's house. Look. The mother's house. Scorpio is the energy of death. It rules the eighth house where Dewan is dead. This Libra thing came out. Libra is relationship and partnership and legal contracts. Where is this Libra relationship and partnership and contract at? In the third house of the local environment. That is Gemini's house. And Gemini is right there in Aquarius's house. Why was Gemini important? Gemini is the neighbor in the community. Why was the neighbor in the community important? Because that is one of the neighbors in the community of the grandmother, who's in the ninth house, Aries. Mars rules Aries. Mars was in Gemini, the neighbor who attacked the child, because the day Dewan went missing, Mars was in Leo. You cannot make this up. Venus rules Libra, which was where this relationship took place. Dewan Sims went missing on purpose by his mother, who connected with somebody in the local environment. He did not go missing at that mall. Let's elaborate on this Libra thing by following Venus. Where was Venus at? Both the day Dewan was born and the day he went missing, Venus was in Scorpio. Whoever was at the mother's house, which was the boyfriend. You cannot make this up. Now, Pluto rules Scorpio. Pluto, all the way at the bottom of the planetary alignments. Look where Pluto was both days. The day Dewan was born and the day he went missing. Right there, being killed by this individual at the mother's house. The family's house. Not just the mother's house. The fourth house is the family. Period. The family, period. Pluto is in Scorpio both of them days. The day he was born and the day he died. Where is the body of Dewan Sims? Notice I modified my lost and found deck. It got smaller. Why? Because I've come to the realization that there's only 33 places that a body can be. So I modified the deck down to these 33 locations. Energy doesn't lie. I was still able to locate the body with the other deck. It just was the long way. This going to get straight to the point. Where is the body of Dewan Sims, who was born October 29th, 1990, who went missing December 11th, 1994? Where is the body of Dewan Sims, who went missing December 11th, so they say 1994, who was born October 29th, 1990? Where is the body of Dewan Sims? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Sanitation and waste in the east from where he was last seen, from that house.
And then there was this letter sent a month ago from someone claiming Dewan was killed and his body placed in a dumpster.
Sanitation and waste. Sanitation and waste. His body was discarded and went out to the wasteland. They will not find his body in 2026. It's completely demolished and destroyed. So they can get that fucking insurance money. Shame on that family. Shame on that family. Shame on that family. And Dewana passed away because her and Victor Jackson, who she married after the fact, she became a Jackson. But then she married, they got divorced because Dewana and Victor Jackson got into an altercation long after Dewan Sims was just put to the side and they moved on with their life. You know, but Victor Jackson has other kids and he took his other kid out somewhere and didn't take Dewana's other child out. So they got into it. Dewana pulled out a knife and stabbed Victor Jackson. They got into it and they became divorced and whatever. It's like, ugh. Shame on that family. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This was about money. Because elaborating on this, both of these 6-house cards, remember I told you I was going to also look for where Virgo is. Okay? Virgo is right there in the house of money. That's what this was about. Money. That's Taurus's house. Where's Taurus at? Right there in the 10th house. Government money. The 10th house is Capricorn's house, where this individual, this Capricorn thing, yeah, this is the house of work. This is the house of authority. They go hand in hand. Government. Capricorn is the energy of the government. A government worker. A government worker. That's this Capricorn thing. Government employee. This is the government's money. That insurance policy. Somebody coached them, the mother and the grandmother, into understanding how to get money, how to capitalize off of a person's death. Shame on that family. Shame on you. Innocent child. An innocent child. This world can be a very wicked place. I'm going to leave this right here. DeJuan Sims Astro Oracle investigation. Rest in peace to DeJuan Sims. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. And that's my reading on DeJuan Sims. Y'all be blessed.